Let me start by giving you a stat. Kai Havertz has played 589 minutes as a number 9 for Arsenal in the Premier League this season. In that time, he's managed a combined total of 9 goals and assists, giving a rate of 1.37 goal contributions per 90 minutes. The next highest in the league in this metric is Mohamed Salah with 1.14 goal contributions per 90, Cole Palmer with 1.13, Erling Haaland with 1.03, and so on. And when you make it non-penalty, Havertz's data makes it look even more impressive. This, for opposition fans, is why there's so much hype around him at the moment, and why Sky dubbed him Reborn on the weekend. Of course, I'm going to caveat this with the idea that it's a small sample size. I'm not actually saying Kai Havertz is the best and most productive player in the Premier League, but I am once again retorting some of the mainstream media narratives that I'm seeing, and this one being about Havertz's resurgence. I've never seen so much hype for a striker with 9 goals. Yeah, well, maybe that's because you look to the data without any nuance or critical thinking whatsoever. Havertz is one of the form players in the Premier League right now, and has been this calendar year, and has been brilliant for some time now, and that's what this video is about. Let's start by going back to the beginning of the season. By doing this, it will explain why this is being dubbed a resurgence and rebirthing of a talented player whose career had begun to falter, because that's part of it. No one is saying Havertz has had an overwhelmingly excellent campaign for the entire duration of it. There's a recognition that he started poorly, and that's why an upturn in form means he's reborn. There is a perception that Havertz was brought in purely to fulfill the left 8 role in the team, to fill the void left by Granit Xhaka. The idea was that this was going to be a role that evolved from someone who did a good amount of ball progression and contributed to the attack, to someone who contributed significantly more in attack and less in the build-up. Ultimately, that's the reason why there's been so much pushback to his impressive form of late, because people feel like he hasn't done the role or fulfilled the role effectively that he was brought in to do so. In actual fact, there was a period from late November and through December where we unearthed him as a left 8. He was combining excellently with Jesus, providing us with a focal point from long balls and gate crashing the box like he was supposed to. Brilliant displays and wins away at Luton, a home to Lons and Brighton, and a man of the match display in a narrow defeat of Villa were all at left 8. He also played there and was superb in the thrashings of Crystal Palace, West Ham and Burnley in 2024 as a real threat running in behind false 9 Leandro Trossard. It's evident that in games where Arsenal were going to dominate the ball, his penetrative late movement from midfield is very valuable, and it means that he is a viable option in this position if needed. It would be unfair to deem him a complete failure in this position and say he's just not an option in here. We shouldn't pigeonhole him into being just a forward now. I think when Arteta signed him, he also wasn't pigeonholing him into that Granit Xhaka replacement role. He spoke very early into Havertz's time here about the German's versatility and how that can be used in various roles. Therefore, the stubbornness that people have with regards to this transfer being a failure is basically down to the idea that he hasn't done what he was supposed to do and what he was brought in to do so. But Arteta clearly signed him aware of his flexibility, and while he may have wanted him to absolutely establish himself as that indispensable left 8, he'll be delighted to have found a multifaceted player who can use as both an 8 and as a forward depending on the context of the game. I also think just discovering that we may have one of the best strikers in the Premier League is not going to give Arteta sleepless nights just because he didn't become that indispensable 8. For me, the Havertz season narrative arc goes as follows. The initial period between August and late November, where he looked like a player wounded by his period at Chelsea, deeply lacking in confidence, struggling with the weight of being called a £65 million flop, and thus very much playing within himself in possession. He was playing safe passes that lacked aggressive intention on them, while he also lacked that decisiveness in his final actions in the box, and often wasn't even attempting to get into the box. He was doing the defensive work well, working hard on winning his duels, which led to a lot of us who were desperate for the transfer to work, including me, squinting to see what he was bringing to us. Then came that period I've already outlined, where one winner at Brentford in late November appeared to ignite a bit of a flame in him, and he had a spell where he was totally serviceable in a functioning Arsenal team as a left 8. Then came the period where we truly unlocked him as a 9. With Jesus injured and Eddie Nketiah being phased out, he got his opportunity down the middle at home to Liverpool, and he was brilliant. He didn't contribute to a goal that day, but to my eyes he demonstrated how our attack can go up a level with a player of his profile up top. He produced a physically dominant performance, harassing Van Dijk and Konate, but also was excellent with his link-up play, often dropping deep in the build-up to combine with midfielders. The most impressive aspects of this game in this role since that day at the Emirates are his pressing and his movement in behind. He understands how to pull defenders away to create space for others, and also how to stretch teams with smart movement that exploits the space they leave behind their defensive block. He's also part of the pressing front two who will cover the left and right spaces on the top of the box when a team tries to play out against us. He's ostensibly playing as a left-sided 10 without the ball, and his ability to fit perfectly in this system is pivotal to our pressing structure functioning. All of this was capped off by what felt like his most complete performance at Brighton this weekend. He was doing all the off-the-ball work we've become accustomed to with him, as well as posing a threat with that dangerous movement in behind. But also his on-the-ball actions were so much cleaner and technically secure than I think I've ever seen in an Arsenal shirt from him. He created a chance for Jesus in the first half with a delicate chip to the back post for the Brazilian. Earlier in the season, he would just never ever have attempted this pass. That's why he's been reborn. Psychologically, he looks significantly less under pressure and bound by the idea that he's been a failure in England. He's settled. But it's more than just those soft factors that we've discussed, it's also tactically and technically. Arteta has unlocked his potential as a 9 by finding a system that amplifies his qualities and allows him to flourish. For the third video in a row, I've been provoked by the discourse that I've seen on Twitter into making a video. I felt like I'd needed to highlight just how good Havertz has been recently, and I mean, people think his output's been bad up front when it hasn't. As I said in the Saka video, it's time that he got his flowers, and here they were. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the We Love Your Arsenal channel, because we have a lot more content coming like this. Listen to our podcast, the Arsenal Cannon podcast, and we'll see you soon.